box. You're cutting out a little bit though.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Mommy Wise, Mom's Perspective. This is fourth one in our series of Mom's Perspective, four episode series, and the last one. And today we will bring to you a seasoned mom's perspective because she has two daughters, one a 13-year-old and one 6.5-year-old. So I'm sure we will get to know a very different perspective from what we have had so far. This is Sonia Chawla, founder of Mommy Wise. But before I go ahead and introduce our guest, since I get to meet you all once in a week, I would like to take an opportunity to thank and welcome all our new members on Instagram, Facebook, and our community, and all the people who have been visiting our website in the last month or so, because we see a constant increase in our numbers and on our website numbers and the traffic that is coming on the website on a day-on-day basis, and the fact that we have a great audience who are repeatedly coming back to read more and more articles on our website. So the numbers are very positive, they are great, and we are overwhelmed with the response that we have got in a very short span of time. Mommy Wise is a woman's platform. It is a mom's initiative, and the only way will be able to take it out and make it bigger is with your help. The idea is that like we feel today, that we were lost when we had a baby in hand. We want to equip all the new parents, all the new moms with all the information that they need, so that no moms later on says that they were lost when they had a baby in hand, or that they did not have the required support in a nuclear setup. We want to give them an ecosystem wherein there is constant support with them, wherein they do not feel alone. They do not feel that the information was not there, the support was not there, or they did not know whom to contact and ask that necessary question. So with our website, with our Facebook community, with our platform, we want to give that support and that edge to every new mom, so that they do not have to feel that challenge or the burden of raising that kid, and in fact they can enjoy the journey. So we wanted to make a moment, and we need all your support for that, to make it bigger and larger. So if you have any new mom, if you know of somebody who might need that help, don't forget to tell them about the platform. Don't forget to tag them or share our details with them, so that they get that necessary support. You might not be able to take up a phone call and help them out, but this will definitely be a great support to them. So yeah, we will be announcing. So today we are starting. At the end of every live from now on, we will be announcing a giveaway. So just stay tuned till the end of the session, and we will be announcing it to you how you can take part in that. With that, I will now move on to our guest today and welcome her. So our guest today is Gayatri Nargis. She has a lot of feathers to her hat. Hi, Gayatri. And let me tell you something about her before we hear it from her only. So Gayatri is a designer, an educator, a mom of two, and she is a founder of a fashion jewelry brand, Gaia. And you can see it on her right now, probably the designs that she make and how spectacular they are. So she says that she loves life, beauty, people, and fashion. And after her education, she got an opportunity to work with an export house, and that is when she traveled extensively to understand the retail market and everything. And her perspective about people, culture, everything changed a lot and shaped her up. But the other part that shaped her into the person that she is today is motherhood. It was when she became a mother, and that is what brought the change in her life. And she is the kind of a person that she is today because of her two daughters who help her balance that act on a day-on-day basis. And for her, parenting has been a very rewarding and a humble experience, and it has taught her a lot. So let's start a conversation with her, and let's try to get her perspective on motherhood, why parenting is hard for us, and is there light at the end of the tunnel. So just before the session started, Gayatri and I were discussing that is it only our generation who's feeling us? Is it the generation that we are raising that is so difficult, because of which all the new moms are feeling the heat of being a parent and being in that space? So let's get to know it from Gayatri herself. So, hi Gayatri, welcome to our episode today. How are
Hi,
you doing
Sonia.
today?
How are you?
I
Very
am
well, thank you.
fabulous. All right. So tell me, do you have an answer to this? Is it our generation? Is it the generation that we are raising, or was motherhood and parenting always this difficult?
Motherhood has always been challenging, but I feel in today's generation, we parents are very, we expect too much out of life. We want everything that we did not get easily for our children. So we bring them up as spoiled brats. We give them what they want. And then we bear the fruit of that tree because, then they answer us back and then they want everything on a click away. And apart from the fact that, of course, we indulge them, it has changed a lot. Like for my mother, probably they were taught that, after a certain age, you will be a mother and you will be married and that's what your life is going to be. But for our generation growing up, our careers were very important. So I feel a lot of us have put our careers on like a back seat and, put the kids on the front seat. And we are we're raising them as our careers. So we make it more challenging for ourselves for sure. And the expectations are obviously higher. First, a graduate or a master's was a big thing. But today, the kind of jobs that are coming up and the kind of education system that will be for our children, we are not even aware of it. So it is a total shift of generation and it is a total shift of understanding for our generation, for us to raise the coming generation. So I feel that is the challenge that probably our parents did not face. That's what I think.
Okay. So, guys, let me rewind it a bit for you. So, it's been 13 years when you became a mother. So, I'm sure the memory of it might have
Yes.
faded a bit. But what do you recall of those times when you became a mother? How prepared were you? And as you mentioned that it was a difficult pregnancy. So, what do you remember of those times as to
Yes,
how
I
do
had
you
a
cope?
difficult pregnancy.
Yeah.
I obviously was not prepared because I was 27 years old when I had Navya, my first daughter. But I was definitely more paranoid. It was like walking into a dark room where I did not know what is, and I had no idea. I still remember keeping a book besides me when I was changing her diaper. I would see the color of her poop every morning and do like a thesis in my brain on what went wrong. And it was total paranoia for the first 1 year. It was like, I don't know what has come into my life. And if I do something, she'll break. And I was super paranoid with my first child. And she, till now, is like a prized rose for me. So even if she gets a scratch, I'll rush to her, although she's 13. And my second one I've raised like a weed. I have given her no attention. If she gets hurt, I'll just tell her, yeah, go open the fridge, put some ice. I don't do anything for her. But having said that, her personality is so much more vivacious and she's so out there. So I feel that the first pregnancy, you're super paranoid because you have no idea what's going to happen. And you have like your mother-in-law telling you, this is how it's going to be. Your mom telling you, this is how it's going to be. The pediatrician telling you that this is what you should expect. And then, of course, you have these fat books, what to expect when you're expecting, which are quite scary. I would say don't read beyond week 30. So it's paranoia. For the first child, it was total paranoia.
So you have just second daughters, and the age gap is there. Was that planned or not
Yes.
planned? That man, it was planned. Why did you think that there
The
should be
age
that age
gap was
gap?
honest. To to be honest, I wanted to have both my kids back to back, but after my husband saw what happened to me as a woman and as a person after having my first child, he was like, "No way, we don't want to have another kid." So to be honest, that's what it was. It took us time as a couple, individually and together, to see that this is more pleasurable than it looks. And this is a good thing that we've had a kid. Because suddenly the school person going for a job, traveling all over the world, looking hot, is this fat cow raising a child, totally paranoid. So I think he got a real shocker. So it took us 7 years to say, okay, fine, let's make baby two. So that's what it was. To be honest, that's the truth. We didn't plan it.
So, was there any incident or something happened down the way wherein you realized that you don't need those thick books anymore and you should rather go by your own instinct instead of going by that advice that was coming from everywhere? So, what made you change and drop your guards that no, I need to be a little more chilled out than what I am right now?
Actually, my mother has always been a mentor to me. And she kept saying that you're over paranoid and you need to kind of ease off because it shows on your child. Your anxiety shows on your child. And my sister also, luckily, is a psychologist. So having both of them hover on my head kind of helped me calm myself down. And my husband is very chilled out. I mean, he's like the opposite of me. So I guess a combination of the three of them helped me a lot to calm my nerves. And like, you know, they say that it takes a village to raise a baby. I was doing all the manual labor, but psychologically, I had a lot of help from these people. And it made me realize that it's not, my paranoia and my anxiety is not working in favor of the child. So I rather, you know, take a back seat and see how better can I work on this project. Because at the end of the day, for me, it's the end result and I'm very work oriented. But it took time for me to become a mother. You know, it wasn't when I was pregnant that I got these maternal instincts and, oh my God, I have a baby in my stomach. Nothing like that. It took me about a year or two to feel like a mother, to, you know, enjoy the womanhood that I was going through. And once that boat set sail, it was a beautiful journey. It is a beautiful journey.
Do you think you enjoyed your journey more with your second daughter than you enjoyed it with your first daughter when she was there with you? Because you were more calm, composed, better prepared this time. Your husband was prepared as to what is coming your way, and then that cycle was repeating.
Uh, See, my first one will always be my favorite. I've been told not to say this publicly, but my first child is my favorite child. And she's like 13 now, and she's like a friend to me. But with the second one, she is keeping my crazy kid alive. So I really thank her for that because she's a total devil and she's just so naughty. And I feel that, you know, we are 40 or around 40. And if we kind of let the kid inside us get suppressed and become all grown up, what's the point of life? I mean, look at the past 1 year. The people with the biggest careers have not gone to office, right? And nobody's done nothing. So what we've really done is either we've cried about it or we've seen how we can enjoy the time that we have with our family together. So with the second one, she keeps my crazy alive, and my first one keeps me grounded. So I can't say that the journey has been a better first half or a second half. It's definitely been a roller coaster ride with ups and downs, and it's a good cohesive package, I think, with both of them together.
So, Gayatri, when did you start working? You have been doing a lot of things. You are a visiting faculty at NIFT. You are teaching the
Yes.
underprivileged. You have recently ventured into child psychology and all. So, when do you and
Yes.
how do you take out time for all of this and balance that act between your kids, because they still need you and you need to be there for them, between family and your work? And how early on did you, after motherhood, did you start working?
Uh, I'll start from point A because I was a very career driven person and I was doing extremely well in my job. So I thought that this is it for me and this is how I'm going to rise and my personality is going to build. But after I had my first child, I obviously couldn't travel 7 months in a year and I couldn't be out the whole day because, like I said, I'm a paranoid mother and I don't like leaving my children to the maids solely and wholly. So I definitely couldn't go back to a job, which was where my heart and soul was. So I started venturing into other things to see where I could put my passion and that drive into. So about is a year after my first one, I launched my own clothing label. And that went on off and on for about 4 years. But I'm a kind of a person who needs a lot of people around her. I like to interact with people. I like to learn new things. And that was too small a shell for me to fit myself in. So then I further branched out into a small course in child psychology and teaching. So it's, I've never really stopped working, but I till today I feel I just branch out into places where I feel my passion can thrive and I can keep that alive. So I feel that, so for someone, if you cannot go back to your multinational job, or you can't go back to your business career that you were doing, it's not like a stump. It's not like the tree has stopped growing. It's just you have to branch out, and you have to see where you can put your thoughts, where you can put your passion, because without having time for yourself and to kind of work on your abilities, you cannot be a good, happy person, and hence cannot ever be a good mom. So I've always kept that alive, that little string, that little flame alive of what makes me happy. So I've really never stopped working, but it's been a mixture of studies and work.
So, Gayatri, which role do you enjoy the most? Out of the things that you do
Which
on an
role do I
ongoing
enjoy the
basis.
most?
Yeah. So teaching, is that what you enjoy the most, your role as a mom, or the times when you were working?
See, I won't say role as my mom, and that's my best time, because I think that's what everyone expects me to say. But I feel
No, I
out of
want you to be
everything that I've
completely
done,
honest.
yeah, so out of what I've done, my best 10 minutes of my day used to be when I used to be standing outside school and see all the little kids walk in. And I used to just feel that that's the most beautiful time of the day, because they're so clueless of where they're entering. They're like cleaning their nose, pulling their socks up. They have no knowledge. They're so pure. They're so cute. And they're just toddling along, walking inside school with this totally fresh outlook of bring on the day. Let's see what's the day about. So that used to give me a big boost of energy in the day. I loved that. I really, really loved that. And secondly, my love is design. I love design. It can be anything: clothes, interiors, anything. Any place where we're traveling, or even if you're sitting in a park, I love observing things. So I've always chosen to do things where there's a lot of observation, there's a lot of interaction with people. And so these two things make me very happy when I'm sitting and doing my work, when I'm designing in my solo space. And secondly, when I'm with little kids. I love little kids.
So, you went into child psychology. I'm sure you must have learned a lot of things there. What is it that you learned
Yes.
during that process? And do you think that knowledge of yours would have helped you in your initial phase of motherhood if you would have known those things about child psychology?
Yeah, absolutely. I did a very concise, very short course on toddler psychology, to be precise. That is what I'm certified in, and as an interest, I study a lot otherwise. But I feel every mother should have a slight background on what to expect with your children, because children, these, like 20 years back, ADHD, autism, these words were not heard of. And even if they were there, out there, people were very shy to talk about them. And I personally feel that all our children have some slight trait of these. Like we'll just brand it as our child is naughty, but the child is not naughty. Is your child a kinetic learner? Is he an auditory learner? Why is he being naughty or she being naughty? There's always a action and reaction, which as mothers we don't understand, and that frustrates us. So having a slight knowledge also on children kind of adapts you with the fact that this is why the child is doing this. And that helps you in operating with the child and not stunting the child's personality and growth. So I definitely say that a new mother can have a little booklet or a book that they can read about these things, or maybe just go visit some child psychologists and just talk, or some forums. India, unfortunately, doesn't have many forums like this where, you can openly talk. and people feel shy about talking about the inhibitions and things that they lack in. Whereas I feel that if we don't talk about it, how will we learn? So this is one thing that I learned, and I'm very proud of. That if I'm faltering somewhere, and by God, I falter every day as a mom. Just the fact that I know where to go to and how to scientifically and correctly alter that for my child.
So, did it come out of an interest that you had that you wanted to learn about child psychology, or was it in the process of being a parent and a mother that you wanted to get answers to how to handle your children? What was it?
After my younger one was 2.5, I came to like a roadblock on where I felt that whether I'm raising this child correctly or not. And that led me to learning more about child psychology and children because, like I said, the scientific method of doing things is always a better method. And that's how we've been brought up. Even in the olden days with my mother, she's been very progressive in raising us. And I felt that today's day and age, like people say, don't give your child an iPad or don't give your child sweets. But the fact of the matter is that we used to thrive on Doordarshan and watch Krishi Darshan and all the crap that used to come on TV. And we used to have bars and bars of chocolates and the ghee and the laddus and all of that. And we're just fine. So I just thought to myself, what the hell has gone wrong with this generation? And that brought me to like a dead end. I couldn't answer that question for myself. So that's why I thought that I need to delve into something which is something which is more scientific, something which someone has already observed, learned, and has given to us in the form of books.
But what is the answer to it?
The
As in,
answer to it is that everyone needs to. Sorry, go on.
so what
You didn't
exactly is
complete
the
your
answer to
sentence.
it? So my question was, what is the answer to it in terms of what has changed? I know when we used to watch Doordarshan, there was only one Sunday and everything used to come and it was measured. So it was not an endless amount of
Yeah.
TV. It wasn't that there was 10 cartoons that we could watch. It wasn't that it was coming from morning till the evening and all of that. But the kind of things that our kids are being exposed to, my 3-year-old daughter can choose which cartoon she wants to watch on YouTube. And she has that freedom and liberty at that
Yeah.
age that she can decide on her own. That same goes for chocolates or the other thing. There was possibly one brand and one chocolate available there, and there wasn't a list of candies available.
Yes.
So the kind of things that are available to this generation is
Yes.
a lot. So while that is one
We are
problem
spoiled
at
for
hand,
choice.
yeah. So what is the
And the
answer in
internet.
terms of how
The
to,
internet.
yeah, exactly? So how do we handle
The,
them?
the internet is killing the. You see, the thing is that what we as mothers are doing is that we are regimenting our children too much. You go to school, you have this class, you come back, you go to the garden, you come back, you do this. Free play, getting the hands dirty, doing silly things is something that we are not concentrating on. And that is what childhood is all about. I mean, we're going to have a routine all our life. We're going to go to office. We're going to come home. We're going to earn money. We're going to go to the bank and pay our bills. When you're going to do the silly stuff, you know? And yes, you should have a timeline for the internet. You should have a timeline for all gadgets. But if we cannot deprive our children of what the future is going to be. The future is the gadgets. But if I make my child do something more interesting than being on the iPad, then the child will not want that iPad and to watch Peppa Pig and have an accent throughout the week. So if I tell them, let's go to the garden, it's raining, let's get wet, let's get dirty, forget about getting a cold. You know, we are very paranoid as parents now. We don't let our kids just get downright dirty. And that's something that I feel with my children, my bonding with my children has been that we do everything together, which is silly. And we do if you want to roll down the those grass hills in the garden, and they'll be like, mama, will it look silly? I'll be the first one to roll down with them. So it's just that parents are not spending enough time with the children, quality time. And our substitute to doing that is the iPad and is television. And the internet is like the mirch and masala, which totally spoils everything for us. So for younger children, it has to be very filtered, and there has to be a lot of free play introduced to them. which is a missing link of what we had and what is not there today.
See, Gati, honestly, I feel, see, as a mom, it's not that I do not have the intent or all of that, but keeping a kid engaged for a very long time, the kids have a very short concentration span. Even if you do a couple of activity,
Yes.
they move on to this next thing very soon and all of that. So,
Yes.
how much time is good quality time with them? And when you say, and especially in situations like this, there is no routine, the pandemic is going, when is the school going to happen? We have no clue, right? Keeping the kids busy and ensuring that all the situation does not have a bad impact on them. So how do we, as in, I do not know how to balance that act then. So is there anything that you can give us as a
I,
tip that this is possibly a good routine for this one, this amount of free play is good, or this amount of time if you're spending with your kid should be a good time?
I feel that if we leave aside this pandemic year, because honestly, our routine has gone out of the window in this pandemic year. My children do what they want to, and they're literally dancing on my head, and I have to let them because they're bored. But in general, even if you spend half an hour of quality time with your child, where your child has the most fun in that half an hour, you can kind of engineer your child's day according to what you want, because then that child will look forward to that half an hour. So it just doesn't mean that you're sitting with the child and doing a puzzle and saying that I spent quality time with my child because, I made him learn something. No, that quality time that I'm talking about is where you have to come up to the child's level. Like, I never say come down to the child's level, because they are not below us. They're so more enlightened than we are, and we're so busy in our social lives that we forget what true fun is. So we come up to the child's level and see what the child wants to do. And if even if you spend 15-20 minutes doing that, that kind of bottles your child enough with love, affection, and that assurity that I'm not doing something silly. Mama or dad want to do this with me, and it kind of boosts their self-esteem. And in olden days, grandparents used to be a big part of our children's lives, which for whichever reason they are not now. And I feel that the way grandparents used to boost the self-esteem of children, parents can't do that, because we will always have an opinion. So we have to kind of replace that self-esteem boosting elements that were there for us with our children. So it's not really the time that you have to spend with your child, it's the kind you do what the child wants to do in that time. And also, you have to not feel guilty, like not you per se, but women and mothers have to stop feeling guilty about, my child watches 3 hours of iPad, and in a lunch, if someone is saying, I don't let my child watch the iPad or the TV, you should not shy off, because, so my child watches 3 hours of iPad, so what? That's what suits me. So we have to stop feeling guilty. I feel mothers these days are guilty 24/7. So we just can't have a good time with our kids because we're just so guilty. We'll want to buy them something, or we'll want to take them somewhere. But honestly, you can just sit at home and cuddle in a razai and watch something that the kid wants to watch, and that's more than enough.
So you have two daughters, and both are in a different space, in different age, and with different requirements right now. Then how is it time that you spend together with them, or you ensure at the end of the day that you're spending different kind of time, because both might require different kind of attention from you? Then how do you divide your time between the two daughters?
Yes. Hmm. Yeah. See, I'm still struggling with this one, because I'll end up spending more time with my elder one, and the younger one is always, she says that you don't love me as much as you love Didi. But it is very different. The time that both of them want is very different. And by the end of the day, I at least give the younger one about 10-20 minutes of just my time, where she wants to probably sit and play with her Shopkins or her LOL dolls or do tea party or something like that. But my attention is with the elder one these days, also because exams and studies, and she's more demanding. Her schedule is more demanding. And the younger one can be palmed off to Dadi, go to Dadi, Dadi will play with you. Or we've got a new dog, so play with the dog. She's still in that stage. So it is a very tough division. And I feel sometimes the younger one gets a little ignored compared to the elder one. So this is a struggle that I go through as well. So I don't have a good answer for this one.
Kathy, tell us more about your work. How much time do you spend on that one? You have a beautiful jewelry brand, and I see your designs on your Insta handle. So, how much time do you give to your brand, and what is it all about?
My brand is just something that I love personally. I love jewelry, and I love traveling. So I have combined both these passions and both these things that I like together, where I pick little details from wherever we travel and study the trend and combine it and just make fun, affordable jewelry, which is extremely in trend so that everyone can wear it. You know, everybody can't walk out and buy a Chanel necklace or buy a Bulgari or one of these brands, but they can always come to Gaia and pick up something which is similar trend wise and just feel very sexy and happy wearing it. So that is what inspired me. Women inspired me to start this brand. And so I'm just going with the flow, doing it as and when I like.
So, how does
I,
your
I, I give
daughter?
about a couple of hours in the day. Sorry?
That was my question. How much time do you give it a day, and how does your daughter, as in, what do they feel about your work?
When I initially started work, I used to give a good share of my day into working. And I have my office and work studio in the basement of my house. And both my daughters did not like it. They both would come down, and the elder one actually voiced this and said that I thought you had quit your job to dedicate yourself to us. And now you're spending an entire day doing your jewelry thing. So, you know, she talks like that sometimes. And then for a second, you think that, you know, am I doing it right? Should I put in that much time? Should I back off? Should I not go totally, you know, bullheaded into this new venture? But initially, when you start something, it needs that much time. And once it goes into the flow of things, you can, you know, take a back seat. So I explained to them, all involve them. Like the little one, I'd probably tell her, come get some beads. We'll make a necklace together. And the elder one is mature enough to understand that, you know, I need to do something for myself because that makes me a better person and that keeps me alive as a person. But they did not like it initially at all when I was spending 5 to 6 hours during the day for my work. But now I feel I spend 2 3 hours doing my work, which is jewelry oriented. I spend some time writing, which can be done with them. So if they're doing their homework or they're doing some work, I can always do my work with them. So I've kind of combined my activities of the day with theirs. So as a solo, I don't work more than 2 3 hours in a day.
So, Gayatri, what is your so while we have covered this thing of parenting, what is your one advice to the young moms right now, or a mom like me who has a toddler or a 3 year old, and we are feeling that heat of what are our kids doing and what is it going to be? So, what is your advice to us? See, honestly, my first three
Wow.
guests were
My
moms who had
advice.
3 year old. So I wanted to bring a seasoned mom onto the show. As I said, is there light at the end of the tunnel? Does our life get easier as our kids grow up, or is it still difficult at various stages? So you are the best person who can tell us: is it going to get better? Are we going to get more used to it? What is that journey like?
You know, I was having a chat with my mother a couple of months ago, and I was asking her the same question. I'm like, Mama, does it get easier? You know, you said it's going to get easy after the first 3 years. And she just smiled a wicked smile and she said, it's not easy for me even today. So it never gets easy because where there's love and where there's affection and where you are connected to someone, you'll never want to back off and you'll never want to take a back seat in what they're doing. So you'll always want to be involved. So it doesn't get easy at all, ever. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. But what happens is that you merge so well into the role of a mom that it doesn't look like a job anymore. It then it's very pleasurable. The pain, the happiness, the ups and downs becomes an evolution for all of us as women. And the only advice I'd like to give other moms, I'm not an evolved mother from any angle, but my advice would be kick off those shoes, have your glass of wine in the evening, and don't blame yourself. You're a great mom and you're doing the best that you can, because I don't think any mother will compromise on whatever she is able to do for her child. So just stop blaming yourself. And if someone has an opinion on what you're doing, you should be bold enough to tell them, please keep your opinion to yourself. It's my child. So that is my advice. It may not go down very well with the mother-in-laws, but that is my advice. That don't blame yourself, and just unwind every evening.
I
And also, I would
completely
say
agree
take
with
some
this.
time off to have your girls' nights out. If you're in a family where it's not appreciated, call your friends over for lunch. Anything that gives you once a month, if not more, that feeling, that the feeling when you were in college, when you're a girl, the woman who you are for yourself, not as a mother, not as a wife, not as a daughter-in-law, but for me, like, I'm Gaia. For me, who is Gaia? For you, who is Sonia? So that has to be alive. And if that is alive and flickering, life is a piece of cake. We should just enjoy it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time today. I have had a very great experience with this conversation. It does help, honestly. The last 4 episodes, we have had 4 different conversations with you also. We got to learn completely different things about motherhood, parenting, and how we should deal with the kids. I have personally learned in the last 4 episodes, in every episode, we came across certain same thing, certain points that were very similar from all the moms, was that we do
Mm-hmm.
need a ecosystem. We do need that support around us to be able to do our role and raise those kids right. Uh, that yes,
Absolutely.
it takes a village to raise a kid. The other point that every was that we cannot let go of ourselves while raising our kids, and we should take care of ourselves first if we want to be a good parent, if we want to be a good mom. It's only when we are well taken care of, we are happy about our life, about who we are, is when we can add value to somebody else's life. So that's another takeaway from our entire series that we have come to, and we would want moms to not ignore that. Yes, it is an overwhelming journey. Yes, a lot of it change once you become a mom. Your entire thing perspective change, and the focus of your life moves away from you to the life that you're responsible for. But even then, we should not let go of certain things, and just look out for support wherever it is possible, whether it is within the family, whether it is your support staff, whether it is your in-laws or grandparents, if they're there and ready to give you help there, or a friend or a group of friends who can guide you right in times when
Yes.
you need that kind of support system around you. And yeah,
Yes.
life can be easy. Don't bother yourself with too much information. At the end of the day, what works is the mom's instinct. So whether your kid wants to watch the 3 hours of tap time, wants to eat something else instead of a healthy snack or something or the other, it is at the end of the day your instinct, and only you know it the best possible thing for your child. Nobody else can judge you or tell you of
Absolutely.
what you should do. So it has been a great experience there with all these 4 conversations that we have had. And yeah, I personally have learned a lot, and I'm sure people would have too. That's bring us to the end of this
I
series.
hope so.
Yeah, I really hope so too, that we have added value somewhere down the line to most of the moms
It's a
who have
never-ending
watched
journey.
this.
It's a never-ending journey.
I was crying last night with my mom, so I know it is not going to be that easy. Um, so
No.
yeah, that is why I thought that maybe there is light somewhere down the line for me as well. But to that, as I said, we come to an end of it. But we will not leave it at this, because this is just half of what it is, just one side of the coin. Next episode, we will get to you a dad's perspective. Now, since we hardly get
Wow.
a lot of hands-on dads who are as involved as the mom in the motherhood and the parenting journey, so it was very difficult for me also to find one who could come on the show and tell us about a dad's perspective. But we will cover that. We will bring a subject matter expert, as he called himself, onto our show. when it comes to parenting, when it comes to contributing to that entire process of raising the kid along with his wife. And trust me, he is a hands-on dad. So don't miss our next episode. You will get to know about the other side of it as well, and understand from a dad also as to how their life also changed. We keep cribbing about ourselves and how our lives have gone for a toss, but as you also rightly said that your husband was also taken aback when the first child happened, and he had to go through that entire cycle of you changing and the situation changing. So I'm sure it's, if it is difficult for moms, I'm sure it is difficult for dads as well, and we should give that benefit of doubt to them as well, because it is teamwork at the end of the day. It is the two who raise the child, and it is not only one person's journey. So we will bring to you a dad's perspective in our next episode next Saturday. So do tune in for that as well. And as I said, we will be doing a giveaway on our community. We will be leaving a link for our community in the chat box after this live session. So join our community and get to know about how you can win that giveaway. It is by Rikil, which is a brand for women wellness. And there are certain products that we will be giving out to our community members. So don't forget to join our community on Facebook after this live session. And stay tuned in for all the updates that we will be sending in there. With that, we come to a wrap. And once again, Gayatri, thank you so much for your time there. I have to tell you guys this, I forgot to in the chat. Gayatri does write for us on To Mommy Wise. She has written 4 articles and very funny articles there. You cannot miss that. We did mention her link, her profile link into our chat. So do read those. She has shared some very hilarious and very nice take on motherhood, marriage, and other aspects, and how to manage anxiety in motherhood as well. So I hope Gayatri will take our time in future as well to write for us. And we will bring it to
Absolutely.
you. All right, then, Gayatri, thank you so much for your time. And until we meet you all again, it's a wrap from us. Bye-bye.
Have a nice weekend. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.